Move over, Sonic. That sounded more like Eggman, didn't it? Well, move over, Eggman.
It's time to bring the hardware series' attention to one of the biggest gaming mascots in town. While I've always preferred and grown up with the blue hedgehog, the majority of my friends were on the plumber's side, and I have distinct memories of playing the very first Mario game on my mate's NES. So today, we're concentrating on a plethora of Super Mario Bros. ROM hacks. But don't go thinking that the footage in front of you right now proves that it all works. What you're seeing here is emulation. Here are the stars of the show. You may remember where I tested Sonic 1 for the NES. My North American console was a tad broken, but with my latest and greatest capture card, the Madewell Pro Capture HDMI 4K plus LT, could they have not come up with a shorter name? It is now fully compliant. So tonight, this said system will be my primary driver using the EverDrive N8 Pro. The others have not been left out, they're just getting tested off screen and will only be presented if any anomalies arise.
Right, we have plenty of Mario ROM hacks to scramble through, so let's not waste another moment. No, I'm serious. I've even got this new notepad exclusively for this video. And we're starting with
New Mario Bros. And I'm immediately disgusted with that shading on the dot. Jokes aside, I was drawn in by the simplicity of the art style we're introduced to. It began pretty simply, but even by 1-4, it was then a game of chance and continued to do so in the following levels. Plus, the pink sky later on isn't doing my eyes any favours. And I'm no Mario fanatic, but I've never seen a castle within a castle. At one point, I managed to jump the flag, meaning I would endlessly run for dear life. Did I just discover the prototype for Super Mario Run? And in the very next round, I somehow got stuck above the boss room, unable to progress until, yep, you guessed it. By 5-2, the difficulty dramatically increased with precise jumping and ducking, then after falling into a pit, I respawned into a wall and got dragged to my death. That was enough game time for me. Does new Super Mario Bros. Work on real hardware? Despite one glitch, my answer is yes.
That probably wasn't the greatest of ROM hacks to start with, yet we got good results. Nonetheless, here's one I've been told to try out. It's called Rohrleitung Gate. Yeah, that's right, I researched on how to pronounce it.
This is a 1 in a million Mario game where you can essentially backtrack. Impressive. And the music has been upgraded. Still impressive. And if you compare the background, you'll notice parallax scrolling. Very impressive. It's a shame that's the only positives I have to say. What on earth am I supposed to do here? Now, this is a puzzle game, but calling it that is a stretch in my book. There's one area that ultimately forces you to commit Sudoku, and I headbanged every block along the way. It wasn't until I learned by pure fluke I was meant to walk through a wall. What? It involves too much precise jumping and timing to get past these stages, and it's more for the expert Mario players out there, as I didn't even get past the first level. And because of that fact, I wasn't sure how to rate this fairly, but then disaster struck. It turns out if I play this on either N8 devices on any console, I'll get... oh no. Oh no! No, 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 no! The only conclusion my brain can suggest is that the game uses a certain mapper that the N8 Pro EverDrive supports, but the ordinary ones do not. I reached out to Twitter to see if anyone had the NES Power Pack, but I got no responses. And I wasn't prepared to pay at least 135 quid just to find out. Does Rohrleitung Gate work on real hardware? I think it's safe to say partially.
For something that started strong, personally came down to a disappointment for me. But let's see if I can lift my spirits in the air with... oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Super Flappy Bird Nightmare. I thought I was going to get addicted to this and try to beat my high score over and over. But no, it's just too difficult. You have to time your jumps perfectly before passing the pipes. If you're a pixel away from the bottom and you jump, you're going to knock your head. It's so unforgiving, even at times when it acknowledged I passed it, it still ended my flight. It took me over 30 goes just to get the hang of passing the second gap. After that, I figured out a pattern, but even then, you can still get screwed over with these random projectiles. Yes, random, so they can materialise within the gangway. I wish the extra hazards appeared a little later, say after you cleared 10 goals, but nope, they're there from the get-go. My highest score was 12, and I called that my personal best. Just don't do two-player, unless you want to see Flappy Bird with bloodshot eyes. I've seen the devil! But anyway, does Super Flappy Bird Nightmare work on real hardware? Yes.
Maybe my problem is that I'm diving in the deep end too fast. Let's swim back for a more modest game. This looks visually pleasing.
Super Mario Bros. Resprited. This is mostly a graphical upgrade with a lot of detail within the maps, which may not be up to everyone's tastes, but I do quite like the shading on the text. It really makes it pop out. Some sprites have been reformed and the mushrooms are now happy, but otherwise it's your normal Mario game. I got up to 7-1 where I encountered a game over right away due to my negligence, and I left it there. Does Super Mario Bros. Resprited work on real hardware? It sure does.
That game was more along my alley, but I still think we can slow things down a bit further. Aha, this looks perfect.
Super Mario Bros. Time and Place.
And it's crashed. Oh, but I can still move and jump. And everything freezes in the meantime? This is very
So all I got to do to shut him up is stop moving.
This wizardry right here is so bizarre to experience. The whole world comes to a standstill when Mario is stationary. Making steps will slowly progress the level's motion, and if you run, everything is normal. This is fantastic, because I could stop to think about my next move, grab as many coins as possible, rack up my score until I got bored, time my fire throws, the list goes on. The gimmick operates surprisingly well with one exception: side-scrolling platforms never negate their direction, meaning clearing these sections are tough. It was here when Mario knew he was funnily enough, it is still possible to pass these areas. So, does Super Mario Bros. Time and Place work on real hardware? I'd say so.
I really enjoyed that one. I'm not sure what's going to top that off. Wait a moment, is there? Pepsiman!
I'm not going to lie, the simple text change really does give it the Pepsi vibe. It's just a shame that nothing else does. I mean, sure, the coins have been changed to Pepsi cans, and we have other subtle changes, but everything looks rushed. He then tries the caffeine-free stuff when he gathers all the power-ups, and he's even bigger than the cars, for goodness sake! Yet again, I managed to jump over the flag, which resulted in the same consequences as earlier, but throw in a few enemies here, force our hero to run, and here's a proper game of Pepsiman! Instead, we get some pretty dumb enemy placements, and a difficulty spike by 2-2? Yeah, I gave it up there. But at the end of the day, I came across no concerns. Does Pepsiman work on real hardware? Yes.
That didn't live up to my expectations, but maybe this one will. Sonic and Mario Brothers. Look, on the Sonic channel, he had to appear somewhere.
This was the only Sonic character hack I can find, and honestly, it's laughable. Still coins, not rings, no shield, still mushrooms, no spin attack, he jumps like Mario, no motor bug or other badniks, no Eggman, no Tails, no Amy. It's a pretty basic ROM hack that replaces Mario with Sonic. Not even sound effects from the universe made it here. This is just a low attempt to add Okay, all is forgiven. One minor change is that he is constantly running, so you no longer have to hold the B button, which took a bit of getting used to, but I suppose it makes sense. Does Sonic and Mario Brothers work in real hardware? Yep.
Okay, we're desperately running out of time, so before I get to the finale, here are some honourable mentions that I tried.
Wario in Mario Bros. It's completely in Spanish, but there is a patch that can translate it into English. Just make sure to apply that to the Spanish patch, otherwise you'll end up with this mess. Either version works fine, it contains questionable palette choices, but I do dig the graphical overhaul and the presentation it proves along the way. Then there's Luigi in Mario Bros. It's Luigi, a green Mario. The blocks have the 30th number on them, and Luigi will morph back into Mario when he's fully armed. That's it. No, seriously, that's it. And the runner-up is Mario Bros. Extra. I mainly gave this a go because of the final boss, and I was intrigued to see if this would work on hardware, but the game is way too hard. It heavily relies on save states, the whole hack is a huge maze, and you have to collect at least 6 keys to even get to that point. And after playing it for over 3 hours and not even finding 1 key, then encountering the game over and discovering that the continue option did naff all, I had to move on.
However, the final showcase of tonight, the piece de resistance, the game where everyone would have unsubscribed if I had left it out.
Super Mario Unlimited Deluxe. With such a clear Mario voice line at the opening,
"It's me, Mario!"
Coming from this 36-year-old system, we're off to a good start. And...
No, I didn't think I was using you.
This looks absolutely stunning, using a beautiful choice of colours and actually animating the water and lava. Yet it doesn't go too crazy with detail. Sometimes less is more. There are no lives here, it just records how many attempts you've made, which is great for a player like me, and you have a few extra gimmicks to keep things fresh, but it still stands true to the original platformer. This game borrows the same mechanic from Mario 3 that the plumber reverts to his previous state when he takes a hit, rather than fully devolving. You can collect these coins in each stage, and it will give you an extra power-up. But I suck at discovering, so I'll leave that to you lovely viewers. I can see why people give this a good rep, but for me, it turns south by World 3. It starts to test your skill mainly by bunny hopping, turtle hopping, over huge gaps, even when mixed with other features which aren't my cup of tea. Then in 4.3, the time limit gets slashed that the fast-paced music immediately puts pressure on you. And what's with all these pits and hazards and precise jumping? Why is this all sudden? It took me up to 53 attempts to complete 5.2 due to some utter bullshirts that another few attempts in the very next part I threw in the towel. It was all bells and whistles to begin with, but it ended up giving me a stressful time. Nevertheless, does Super Mario Unlimited Deluxe work on real hardware? Very much so. Wow, what a rollercoaster of a ride! While I had my fair share of criticism towards today's exhibit, the ending result was mostly positive. One game may have pushed it over the limit, but it goes to show how withstandable this era could be. And with patience, it can give the 16-bit console a run for its money. Well, Mode 7 may have something to say about that. Only the future will tell.